So when I'm creating a piece of artwork, I like to try and feel it as opposed to just copying a photograph. I try and sort of get into the atmosphere. I started off by putting on a number of different washes. Again, everything's sort of directional, which helps me remember. I like to work in layers because I like the highlights. And I find that, you know, if I've got the white of the paper doing the work of the highlights for me, although often highlights aren't that white, in this case I've pretty much left them as the paper. I think it works okay. In some situations you wouldn't actually go that bright, but I think it works because it's a bright atmosphere. And the greens, I've sort of made it a nice sort of pleasant contrasty bluey green, sort of coolish against the warmth of the body, really to make it stand out. I haven't done too much to the sky. I could have knocked back the clouds and just had a plain wash, which might have made the highlights stand out even more. But I think sometimes when you're doing a piece of work, you might think of that and think, well, okay, the next one I do of a cheetah, I might try that. You can have bright ideas as you go along, and you can't necessarily change things without making a total mess of it. So I think, although it looks like I was doing detail, I would expect to do more to this piece of artwork to make it more polished. I really wanted to show how you could enjoy creating an animal, which does require a certain bit of, you know, anatomical form and looking correct. I tend to have an earth palette really, so I was using the raw sienna and the burnt umber and the, I think it was ultramarine blue I was mixing, lemon yellow called, lamp black, big favourite, lamp black. Particularly if I was doing internal work, I like working with that. So not a huge amount of colour, but again that was really, the purpose was just focusing on the animal and just having a bit of a cool contrast to it. So that's all I really needed to do with this one. I think everyone you do, you learn from and you think, well okay, the next time I do it slightly differently. But you know, some of the marks I am happy with, some I'm not. But I'm happy in the end that, you know, it fits on the paper okay and it looks like it's moving, there's atmosphere, and I've got the highlights and some depth, so I'm happy with that. I used actually two very nice brushes which I've not used before from Jackson's Art Supplies, and one was a Sable, it's called a Sable One Stroke Series 916, that was nice, and the Jackson's Icon Series 702. That 702 is particularly useful for lifting off the colour. I like that at the end. Yes, I started off with that, and I could actually use them because they're flats. I could use them flat and I could use them on their side, so I could get some nice marks with that. And I was particularly keen on the Corless Sable I've got, Series 33. And I've got another one, Series 2230 and Series 8, all Corless Sables. They're fantastic. So they were really nice. I always use the two brush method. So the one brush is for putting on the paint and the other one is for blending, and you know, so I'm not having to swish off the paint. I keep it on the brush and use the other one for, you know, moving the paint around. So the paper I used today was Saunders Waterford from St Cuthbert's Mill, and I'm delighted to actually use their papers as an ambassador for them. That's good fun. You can actually, this is quite a heavy paper, I think it's 425 grams, something like that, and you don't necessarily have to stretch it, but I prefer to because it just gives me a lot of choice if I want to slosh in a lot of water. But actually, you know, it's very good paper, and I think it's a high white and it's brilliant. I mean, I think that's what's helped me get the highlights. It looks so nice, so I'm very, very impressed with the paper. I think the other thing that we were talking about was the inspiration for doing work like this, as I say, in my case, is because I spent a number of years in Kenya in my youth. And from that I've been particularly inspired to work towards helping to support wildlife charities, like lots of other wildlife artists. There's quite a lot of us around that do this and really get a lot of joy from it.